Well, I'll start by telling you this. My name is Elijah Young, and I am the founder of Pain's Promise. And Pain's Promise is a really exciting adventure for me, probably primarily because I didn't want to do it. Um, in life, a lot of things that you don't want to do are probably the things that you probably need to do. And this Pain's Promise book and and webinar series that we've been doing has been something that has grown on me. It's the beginning of 2013. I started this journey with this stuff, and I didn't really do anything with it other than push it away. The thoughts came into my mind about redefining pain, and I said, you know what, I should do something with this, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people that need to hear this perspective. As I began to share about Pain's Promise and about who I am and why I feel uniquely suited to do this, the response was really overwhelming, and people were like, wow, are you writing a book? What are you doing getting this out? How are you doing this? And so I have started the process. I'm in the middle of writing the book right now, and doing some life coaching and helping people just work on the pathways of their pain. So thanks everyone for being here. Those of us who are listening in on the call, you're not going to be able to see the slides, but in the recorded version you can go back in and watch what you heard and what you're a part of. That'll be emailed to you probably tomorrow. All right, so we are going to talk about how to use your pain to catapult your future. As you know, Betsy Boys is on the phone call today, and I got to tell you, she is a dynamic person. I have just had so much joy in getting to know her over the last month, and it's really interesting. I'm in California, and a friend of mine who's on my Facebook page spread, like many of you, was spreading Betsy's journey page and saying, hey, Betsy was saying, hey, I'm looking to find my biological mom, and would you help me to do that? And so here I am in California seeing on one of my friends' page someone that's in Indiana post about wanting to find their biological mom, and that really intrigued me. And so I reached out to Betsy directly, and said, wow, this is awesome, this is really cool. I friended her on Facebook and liked the page and said, wow, and told her really about what I'm doing. And that's how we got together on working together with this. So let me just tell you guys a little bit about me, and then we'll jump square into all of this. So I went to a thing called Experts Academy, and that's for authors, speakers, coaches, and things like that. And I was really kind of crafting what my message was going to be. And like I said earlier, I was pushing away this kind of idea that pain can have promise to it. And I didn't want to, like, who wants to talk about pain, right? I mean, really, when we think about pain, it's like, let it go, don't worry about it, we all get it, we all have pain or painful situations in our lives, and let's not dwell on that. And like you probably, like me or most people, are like that. And so as I went to this Experts Academy seminar, I really got a fire about going in the direction of things that maybe some other people won't talk about. A couple other things about me: I'm a musician, a musical director, producer, thought leader, and I love doing what I do every single day. I get to build leaders and help people identify their potentials in life and work on who they are in a very musical environment. I'm a vocal instructor, so people ask, wow, you're doing all this stuff on pain, but what do you do? Who are you? What are you up to? How do you spend your days? And so those are a couple things that I do. I'm in the middle of producing a record for a gal right now. Really excited about that for her. And here's some funny facts about me. I'm into women's fashion and quantum physics. And there's like a, huh? that can come up with that. Some people are like, what's quantum physics? And, to have a guy that's in the women's fashion and quantum physics, it's kind of like, really? You are? I also call myself a Starbucks community ambassador. I office out of Starbucks. I don't have to. I have an office I can come to. But I choose to be out in the community and be with people, like I told you, building leaders, building relationships, things like that. And so it's very important to me to be a part of the community that I live in. And I can go to pretty much any Starbucks in a 10 or 20 mile radius here in California, which there are a ton in a 10 or 20 mile radius. And I know all of the folks they know me. So I'm kind of into Starbucks a lot. I'm also a water snob. I believe that we should drink the best water we can, as our bodies, we know this, are mostly made of water. My friends make fun of me because they're like, hey, I got some tap water here, and it's like, yeah, I'll drink that if I have to. I'm not so snobbish that I won't touch if that's the only water that's there. But I believe the quality of water that we put in our bodies is very, very important. And you're getting down into the plastics with your bottled waters and all that kind of stuff as well. Here's my life motto. Ideas aren't for those with ideas, but ideas are for those with execution. So a lot of people have ideas, like I could have had this idea about Payne's Promise, but if I just left it alone, didn't do anything with it, then sure, I've got this great idea, but it doesn't do anything to not carry it through. So again, that's my life motto. Ideas aren't for those with ideas, but rather those with execution. All right, so let me just jump into what Payne's Promise is, and I'll bring Betsy on the line here in a little bit, but let me just set up why you guys are here, why we're talking today. And again, thanks for being on the call. Some of you, I can tell, are just jumping in right now, but thanks for being here. Payne's Promise is really a lifestyle guide. It's an online community that exists to help people view their pain in a new way. It teaches you how to use your pain to create massive growth and transformation. On the slide here, I have a picture of a map for some of you that can see this. And here's the thought behind that. If you're going on a trip through the forest, the best time to have the map is before you enter the woods, right? Well, Payne's Promise exists to be that map. I'll tell you how. So I help people who have experienced painful life situations like job loss, abuse, injury, difficult breakups, marital failure, bankruptcy, cancer, death, or anything where life basically gets turned upside down. I help them get over it by viewing that pain in a whole new way, right, so they can live life totally engaged, fully empowered, and refreshingly alive. And we do that by reframing pain. So here's first things first. We need to have a paradigm shift, and we're going to jump in and talk about Payne's Promise and what that even is and how that makes sense. We've got to have a paradigm shift. Here it is. Your pain has value. In fact, see it this way. Your pain is an investment. It's not an intruder, this thing that comes in and bombards our lives, and we're like, oh no, this difficult circumstance came in. And I don't mean to discredit difficulty or make it light, right? What I am saying is if we reframe that pain and see it differently and not as this intruder, we're actually empowered to do something with it. And that's what's really important about it. And some people might say, well, why stir the pot? Some of you know what a Molotov cocktail is, and a Molotov cocktail is essentially a alcohol-based or gasoline-based glass bomb, right? Where you have some type of cloth in the top of the, typically it's a wine bottle or some type of bottle of sorts that's filled with a grain alcohol or a gasoline, and they light it on fire and chuck these, literally throw them at buildings, right? So that's what a Molotov cocktail is, if you didn't know. Well, here's a Molotov cocktail for repression. When you say things like what's done is done, or don't think about it, or just get over it, or just let it go, those types of things, when we say things like that, are really not beneficial for us. We all do it. I've done it. But we've got to reframe that. Because when we put those things to the side, they actually grow over time, and they are repressed. And so our emotions and how we show up to other people in the world can give notice to there's something really going on below the surface. And we've all, met or been people like that we see that those types of things can happen. So just be careful, right? We're not looking to stir the pot to make another storm, but there's some new handles and some new approaches, some new technologies that are out there, and we're going to talk about those to help you reframe pain, see it as an investment, and do something with it. So here's the truth behind it. They say that time heals all wounds. Well, that's a lie. Time does not heal all wounds, but the application of quality tools, right, over time does. That's a quote from the book Payne's Promise. For a lot of people, pain is such a dirty word. And it was for me too. Like I was telling you, at the beginning of this year, I thought, man, I don't want to talk about pain. Who wants to do that? That's type of thing. But through my life, I could say I got so much of it. I think I started getting good at dealing with it and doing something with it. We've all heard it said, what do you do when life hands you lemons? Well, we all know you make lemonade, right? And then if you get more than your share, what do? Well, here's what I say: you open a lemonade stand. I mean, think about that. And I'm not saying, you just need to profit from your pain. This is all about money or something like that. But what I'm saying is an investment has different types of currencies, of which money is just a type of currency. But your healing has value. You're going through whatever you've gone through that may be difficult. For Betsy, I know, having the void of going, wow, I really want to know who my birth mom is. And then doing something about that. And I'm not going to steal her thunder. She's going to share today on how that must have been for her growing up in a loving family. Not everyone, not all of us grew up in loving families. But for her, growing up in a loving family, and then also being able to say, wow, there's still something inside of me that wants this question answered. And so I believe that Betsy wasn't necessarily handed, lemons, but she is doing something with what she wanted to do in finding her birth mom, which I think is amazing. And she's helping all of us in her community to find birth parents or relatives and things like that. So I started asking more questions. I'll share one more thing about my journey. I started saying things like, I know I'm not the only one going through so much pain. I had pity party thoughts of, why me? Those got changed to, well, why not me? Then it went to, well, then what can I do with all of this? To, who else like me needs help on how to deal with pain? Who's written on it? Who's done research? Who can I talk to? Who needs to hear this? And then I started thinking, well, who can I interview that have powerful stories of transformation, powerful stories of pain or struggle or, just incredible things that have happened in their lives. And I said, I'm going to build a community of people out there that have had terrible things or hard things or things that have, just like Betsy, just been unanswered for so many years, and then boom, in 36 hours on Facebook, it gets answered, and there's this whole community that's built around, well, me too. And I know Betsy's heart is, wow, I want to help every single one of these folks find or reconnect to their family members or biological parents or whatever that might be for them. And I applaud Betsy for doing that. So I had to get with Betsy and figure out a way for us to connect on and helping her community, because I back that 100%. So, guys, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring Betsy up on the call here so she can join in with us. Give me just a second to unmute her. Betsy, are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. So thankful to have you on the call today. I know as we've been talking over the last several weeks about this and just getting to know one another, I have just fell in love with who you are as a person and what you bring to the table. Obviously, you're a very beautiful person inside and out. And wow, what just a remarkable gift that you have in sharing, not only what you did in finding your birth mom on Facebook, but then helping a community. Not a lot of people are like that. And that's why I think you're just so magnetic, right? You just have so much energy. And I'm just like, wow, you're running your own business, you're raising 2 kids, and just being a great friend and daughter and meeting a bunch of new family members and all of these great things. And then on top of that, you're still wanting to help a community of people do the same thing. So thank you so much for being here. So excited to call myself a new friend of yours. And so share with us about you, about your life, and how you got to the place where essentially you wanted to find your birth mom and how you went about all that.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me, and thank you to all of the listeners, too, for joining in. But basically, I have obviously wondered my entire life, do I have brothers and sisters out there? I wonder if I've ever run into them, if so, or, gosh, I wonder if I look like my mom. Because, growing up adopted, as you said, I had an extremely amazing life. The mom and dad, people who adopted me, provided me with a very happy home, but there was always just something inside of me like, well, where do I get this from? Where do I get my musical talent from? and I just never looked like anybody, and it bothered me a lot. So to be honest with you, for years and years, I'm like, man, I don't want to go through the hassle of trying to find them. And then what if I do find them and they're dead or on drugs, or, my birth mom doesn't want to meet me, or I get lied to, or somebody claims to be my birth mom and they're not. I mean, there's so many fears that go into a search. I mean, before you even start searching.
Wow.
So that was the pain for me, is the fear. I guess it was the fear mostly of starting this journey. And I mean, like I said, Elijah, I wasn't even sure that I would ever search because I was just so fearful. And I read that story on the Today Show that day that I created this page, and I'm like, you know what? Just something came over me, and I was like, I have to do this. I cannot go on my whole entire life and not just try, And I prayed about it, and I just started it, and I mean, before you knew it, I mean, I was speechless. I'm still speechless, but I guess the pain now is it's been so overwhelming. It's been amazing, but it's overwhelming in the same sense because now I have a new brother, and I'm dealing with the pressure of trying to be a really good sister to him and trying to be understanding of all of his feelings. And then also, my mom and dad have always been super supportive, so that's not a concern. But I have a sister that's been kind of hurt by all of this, scared that she's going to lose me because I have another sibling. So there's just a lot that goes into this, and I can't necessarily say that I dealt with a lot of pain growing up, but as I've become older, having my own children, not knowing, they don't know part of their biological history. And I'm like, well, gosh, what if cancer runs in the family? Or, what if my daughter grows up and she sings? And there's just so many different things that you can wonder about. And I just got tired of wondering.
Yeah. I do.
And I just want to look like somebody, So.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a bunch of people in your now new community that are going, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think you hit on some really important things there, Betsy. That you talked about the fear. A lot of people have fear. We all have fear. Fear is a healthy thing. I mean, fear is that, if you will, the primal thing about humanity that helps us know if we're in danger. And we need fear. Imagine if we're climbing up a big mountain and we didn't have any fear and it was icy and we just walked over the edge because we didn't have any fear of our death, a lot of us would probably die a lot more. You know what I mean? So fear is one of those things that keeps us in check and keeps all of our senses ready to go if there's an event or emergency or something, right? But at the same time, fear is also very paralyzing to where it stops us cold or stops us dead in our tracks. And one thing that I love about what you've done is that, in the face of the fear, you still did something about it. You still made a page. You still were vulnerable. You put yourself out there. Tell me, how was that like? I mean, so you're sitting there and you're going, I've got to do this. How did you actually overcome the fear? Because I'm sure many of the listeners today and those that are going to listen to the recorded version are going to go, well, sure, Betsy's got the special secret sauce to doing this, but man, I've got to put my birth date out there. I've got to put where I was born, what hospital, all these types of things. Man, that can create a lot of fear. On social media, on Facebook, where the whole world can see, that's the thing. How did you do that? What was that like for you?
Well, my first initial thought after reading that story provided by the Today Show was like, you know what, I guarantee you I can find her on Facebook. Who does not have a Facebook these days? And if she doesn't have a Facebook, someone she knows does. If I'm going to do this, I don't want to spend years and years searching. I don't want it to be a long, drawn-out process, so I'm going to use social media. I know how powerful it is. So I did that, but I was fearful of, getting some creeps stalkers, what have you. But I just thought, you know what, I have faith in this, and whatever is meant to happen will happen. I'll be able to weed out people that are not sincere, people that don't really care, and I'm just going to have faith in this. I'm just going to go for it. And I know that there can be bad things. My dad even warned me. He said, Betsy, gosh, you're using social media. I would be careful with that. You're probably going to get people trying to claim to be your mother, and they're not. So just be careful. And I said, okay, I think I'll know when it's genuine. And I just took a leap of faith. I mean, I feel like in life you definitely have to take leaps of faith. And, there, with risk comes reward. And I was ready to take the risk. So
That's awesome. And we've talked about this before the call today, obviously, but I think it's, as I've said, I think it's really as a result of your mindset, and I think some people have to get their minds in the right mental place to even, set out on this type of journey for themselves, I mean, imagine, someone looking for a birth mom, birth dad, being overtaken by that same fear and doing nothing. I as you know, and I know, there's tons of people who have been like, yeah, I need one day, or I'll go on Ancestry.com, or, many of the places, family tree type of places that you can research or find through internet companies online to do that. But you put yourself out there and got the results in such a fast amount of time that I think that's why media outlets and news and all that picked it up, because it's like, wow, this gal is willing to be so vulnerable before the world, right? Because anything you make public on social media is public, right? So, your picture that you had up, there's 3 pictures, and it says, will you help me find my birth mother? And that's just like, there's something about that, even that question, just you out there, with different pictures and just putting that all out there for the world. To me, there's something about that says, wow, this gal's special. She's not just saying, well, I'm going to just do this and find and go out through this journey. You put everything on the line, and that's why I keep trying to bring this up, the vulnerability, the mindset, the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to set out on this journey, and I'm going to find her. And you did. And I think that's why you've built a community around you that people are like, wow, can you help me do this? And it's awesome to see different people on your Facebook page and on the Journey page that are doing the same thing now. And I know you can't get to every single person. That's why we set up this webinar in the first place. And this is going to be one of many, as we've talked about, to help people over time. Because, again, how are you going to help every single individual person? But through these webinars and spreading it bigger than just one person on the call at a time, right? Or listening in, they can still get the information and hear from you, and you become even more real. And I just want to, like I said, talk about your mindset. Help me to get a sense of like who you are, because your mindset just didn't start when you wanted to find your birth mom, right? Your mindset started probably years ago and being raised in a loving family to where you have a winning mindset. You have a I can get it done type of personality. You have the world is a good place overall type of personality, and that's why I think these good things are coming back to you. But tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about your mindset and how that's helped you through your life.
Well, everybody has problems. I don't care if it seems small or large. I mean, we all have problems. That's just part of life. For me, I embrace those problems, and I think, okay, well, I'm going through this for a reason. It's just gonna make me stronger, whatever I'm going through, and then I can help others. I've always thought like that. I've always been a very optimistic thinker. Like, what good can come out of this situation? Instead of focusing on the bad, I've always focused on the good. And I've always somehow flipped it into like a way to help people out. And I just think it's incredible how much this page has blown up, and I know it's for a special reason. I know it's because I need to help other people through my journey. And I've always been a very positive thinker. I think that if you think negatively, then negative things will happen. But the more, I think for me, I have trained myself to think positively. I mean, I can't sit here and say that I've never had a period of my lifetime where I just kind of moped around. But in those periods of time, I've gotten back up and I thought, okay, I'm having a negative thought. I'm going to snap out of that and think of a positive thought about that situation. And it's just a matter of training your brain. And then with this, with starting my journey, I knew that the outcome could be something I never wanted, but I had to take that risk. I just had to know, and I knew that whatever the outcome was, I would still be okay at the end of the day. I still have a loving family, but just knowing what meant the world to me.
That's great. So you're willing then, what I hear you saying is you're willing knowing that you didn't know what was going to be on the other side of the veil, finding your mom or not, right? But you just knew in finding her, whatever that outcome was, you were going to be okay. And that's what I mean by mindset, you were going to be supported. You were going to still be the same person that you were, whether, in finding her, she's like, I don't want anything to do with you. That was a long time ago, right? The painful things that can come out of that, you were still willing to take those risks. And I think the callers that are either listening live today or in the recorded version need to know that, man, if you're going to set out on a journey like this, if you don't think your mindset is very, very important, you've got one thing coming to you that I hope doesn't have to happen, But let's be real. You have to know that your frame of mind is going to, kind of dictate, if you will, how you're going to do this. And that's the same thing with Pain's Promise, right? The mindset of pain is reframing it into, this can be okay. I can use this to help other people. And you said that already, Betsy, that you knew that somehow the things, that circumstances that have happened to you in your life or in this journey, you knew that somehow you could help other people. And that's why you built such, a big following, because you are that person and it comes through. So really, really, really good stuff. What I want to do is maybe jump into some questions that others might have, or if there's anything else that you want to share that people would know. So let's take this strip this down a little bit. I know we're in formal webinar mode, if you will, which is cool. But let's strip this all down a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up some of the other lines. And if anybody else has a question that they want to ask you, or they want to thank you, or share how they met you, or whatever else, I'm going to just open up the lines for a few people to do that now. So everyone, just hold on just 1 second while I transform the webinar to. Okay, so now that I've got it this way, if you want to ask a question, just jump in right now and ask. So is there anyone on the call right now that has a question they'd like to ask or say something to Betsy? Cool. All right. So here's what I'd like to do, Betsy. I've got some questions that I've kind of preloaded that I want to ask for you. And if a question does come up from someone else, I'm going to go ahead and keep the lines unmuted, you guys. So if you do have a question, just jump right in and ask, okay? So the lines might get a little loud because I'm unmuting everyone else that's on the call. And if you have something that you'd like to ask Betsy, feel free to go ahead and do that. So Betsy, earlier you mentioned about the fear of family members like your sister who has maybe not taken so well to this beginning part of your journey, but what advice would you give to other people who are looking to embark on this type of journey, as far as the family relationships that they already have, how to help them, or how to be there for them, reassure? How do you do that? Because that's a very, let's be honest, that's a very tricky thing. The people who have raised you or been with you as a loving, obviously adopted family, and their family, right? We could say adopted family or just family, but the reality is that's been the family. And so, but as these new family members start appearing, the family that you've had already, you can start feeling like you said, like, hey, I might lose you, or you might just forget about me or forget about us, And so, what advice would you give to all the listeners today about that process?
Well, basically, I am lucky. I know that not everybody is as lucky as I have been. My parents have always been very, very supportive. But I've received hundreds of messages from people saying, I'm scared to do this because I don't know what my mom and dad would think. So basically my advice is, if you feel like starting your own journey, have that discussion with your family, the people who have raised you, the sister you grew up with, the brother, whatever it may be. You need to have that discussion with them and let them know what you want to do. And honestly, I feel they should respect that. And if they don't, I feel like you still need to go for it. You can still comfort them and not obviously be rude to them, but you still need to go for it. This is your life. It's your journey. It's your biological history. It's what you have wondered your entire life. So I don't think you should let anything stop you from that. And like I said, I was lucky, but I know that there are lots of people out there that aren't. And my sister, and I'll keep it real, she went and found her biological family because she's adopted too. My mom and dad were not able to have children, so they adopted us. She's older. And, I got a little bit jealous when she found her family, not because, she found her family and I didn't. It was because I was like, gosh, well, I'm her sister. I'm the one that grew up with her. I'm the one that spent her childhood together, and she's totally embracing these new people, and they're actually strangers. But it's a really hard thing to grasp once you're in the moment. You don't really know how to react. I think it's just those are normal feelings. So don't let the feelings of your loved ones stop you, but don't push them away and not comfort them. I still think you need to comfort them, because I totally feel like those are normal feelings to have. And I feel like they're to be expected.
Cool. Great. I love that. Does someone else have a question? Oh, I thought someone else was chatting there. Lines are open, people. We're just going raw and informal here. So if you do have a question, just jump on in, okay? Everyone's being so respectful today. I think that's great. Well, here's another question, Betsy, that I have for you. So your new family, as you and I have talked, there's a bunch of new relationships that are kind of, you have this instant family. So a lot of times we think, we're finding a particular person, like I'm really looking to find my mom. But I don't know if you thought about, well, in finding my mom, I'm probably going to find a bunch of other family members that may or may not want to be involved with my life. So how was that journey for you, number one, and then number two, how do you help the new family members, to feel a sense of like, hey, we don't have to jump into this instant family. Let's take time to get to know one another. You know what I mean? Because that part's difficult as well. So what would you have to say about that?
Okay, well, I never in my wildest dreams expected to find a brother out of this, but I did, and I'm so ecstatic about that. He, in my journey and how things have panned out, he hasn't really, he never knew about me, so it was hard for him in the beginning. So I've had to comfort him, and also he didn't have any siblings. So he is almost, in a sense, trying to make up for lost time, and I've had to comfort him and reassure him, look, that's not possible. we're meeting today, and we need to start our relationship from the day we met and not try to make up for lost time, because I think that can create a lot of pressure on both ends. And just take things slow, and then, you know, I don't think that you need to go out and plan events. I mean, you can do it however you want. Just for me, it's a lot. It's been exciting, but it's also been very overwhelming, because everybody is like, oh my gosh, here's this long lost daughter of so and so's, and we want to meet her, so everybody's trying to meet at the same time, and you just need to take it slow and one day at a time, and not, like I said, just there's no possible way you can make up for lost time. So just start the relationship out slow, and just try to be understanding of everyone's feelings.
Yes, good. I think that's really, really good advice. Thanks for that. So about, you know, actually the nuts and the bolts behind making the Facebook page and doing that. How did you do that? I mean, so you went on, and obviously we don't need to spend a lot of time here teaching people how to actually make a Facebook page, but what type of page really did you make? Who did you send it to? You put it on your wall first and then send it to other people and ask them to share on their wall? Did you share it on your wall first without making a page? You know, how did you do that whole thing, you know, with Facebook? 'Cause some of us aren't so adept at understanding how Facebook works. So can you just give us the nuts and the bolts? If, say, we wanted to do something like that, what would we have to do? What pictures would we have to put up? And, yeah, how do we do that?
Well, I announced that I was going to create the page first. And then I created the page, and I in my mind, I'm like, I just got to keep this simple. It's almost like you have to promote yourself, you have to market yourself, and you have to get people excited with you. You don't want to just say, hey guys, looking for my mom, help me out. Like, you have to be very polite about it, because you see these posts all the time, and a lot of times, I mean, I've done it too, you just kind of skim, like, oh, there's another one of those. I mean, you have to make it look really exciting. You really want everybody's support. So I created the page, and I thought, okay, when I do this picture, I definitely need to do like an adult picture, like a childhood photo and a baby photo, because somebody out there, and this is how I thought, somebody out there is going to recognize me in one of those pictures. So I decided to make that the profile picture, and that's the one that has gone viral. I think there's like 11,000 likes on it or something. But
wow.
Yeah, and so I did that, and then it needs to be a community page so that anybody can post. You want to make sure that anybody can send you messages. Anybody can post on your wall. Anybody can comment, and you want it to be open so that you can get messages from anybody. I mean, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had the 3 emails from the personal messages from my biological family that I've met. So it needs to be a community page. I know that's a big question that a lot of people have had, is what type of page to make. And it will be linked. You don't want to create a whole separate Facebook account. It needs to be linked through your current page.
So like your current regular profile Facebook page, personal Facebook page.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And I did all of this through my iPhone. I haven't even logged on to a desktop one time to manage all of this. So you can see it's pretty easy.
Yeah, so there's really no excuses if you want to do it yourself, huh?
Exactly.
Awesome. Anything else on Facebook tips on what to do, or, because for you, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just super simple, and anybody can ask me more questions, but you just want to explore. I mean, I have a business page too, but I've never had a community page. You just want to explore and think through the questions, and then obviously with the profile picture, I had, I think, 3 different apps on my phone that I used. I know that sounds super difficult, but it's really not. And I can help people out with that too, and what apps to download and whatnot.
Okay, so what it sounds like to me for the Facebook thing, and we talked about this doing this anyway, going a little deeper and giving people like the 1, 2, 3 steps, like the what to do, the how to specifically, and so guys, I just want you to know whether you're listening, live or recorded version, you will be seeing shortly. From Betsy, and I'm sure I'm going to have a hand in helping her do this. But basically, put together an easy, 3-step or 5-step or however many steps it is to make this happen for yourself, because a lot of people aren't as maybe tech savvy, even though it might be simple, but everyone on the call and listening in isn't as tech savvy as you. So we want to make sure that we give everyone here a step-by-step guide to do this for themselves as well. Okay, cool. So I'm going to ask one last question, and it's very controversial. So I'll start there. What would you say to the people who are looking for family members and don't get a good response back? See, for you, you've had a great response, open arms, right? You've had a family that is like, yay, so excited to meet you. Let's say for someone else, it's difficult, and maybe family members, because let's just be honest, some adoptions happen as a result of rape or other really negative things. And I'm not saying that every person is like that, and every person that is adopted, obviously you weren't, right? It was because of some terrible thing that happened to them. But let's just say it is. Okay, so going a little controversial here, what would you say to someone who is looking and searching for these family members but aren't necessarily welcomed on the other end? What advice, what support would you give them?
Well, I think most importantly, when you start your own journey, you need to keep an open mind, because it is the unknown. You have no clue what you're going to find. It could be an awesome experience, and you find people as quick as I did, but it could also be a devastating outcome. But what people need to remember is that most importantly, just keep an open mind, and just know that maybe, when you set out on this journey, you've lost loved ones, and that's why you want to seek out more. Well, I just think that it's important for people to count their blessings where they are at in their life, and just know that whatever the outcome may be, there's something that you can learn from it.
Yep.
Whether good or bad, there's something that you can learn from that. And, you may find that, for example, my outcome was awesome, okay? I haven't met my birth mother yet, though, because she's ill, and I'm not ready to share what her illness is, but she's basically not quite ready to meet me, and that's hurtful. But it's not necessarily just about me. It's about the other people, too. And I just think everybody needs to keep an extremely open mind, and however you choose to prepare yourself for that, for me, I like to pray about it, but however you choose to prepare yourself, I think it's important that you do. And also, I've always felt like I need to be at a good place in my life. Like, here's an example. If you're going through a really hard breakup or divorce or a death of somebody, and you're already dealing with something that's really life-changing, I think you better deal with that first.
Right.
Before you, and I'm not going to say that there's a right time to search for your biological family, but I think there kind of is. You kind of need to have a clear head somewhat so that you can prepare yourself for whatever you're going to find.
Well, that's really good. One thing I want to point out here that you said was you call it your journey, and I think that's critical. I think everyone on the call needs to realize that it is your journey. It's not the new family, potential family's journey. It's not the existing family or existing support system or whoever might be there, if there are people there, right? It's not their journey. It's your journey. And I think that hits it right on the head. That when people have the outlook that, hey, this is my journey, and whether rain or shine, good or bad, however this goes, I'm willing to walk that line. And I think the more support you have, obviously, the better. There's a great community that got built out of nowhere. I mean, just the fact that we're in a new world today. I'm in California, you're in Indiana, and we have a friendship now based around a very, painful circumstance that happened, at least for somebody. I mean, you grew up in a great family, right? But there was some reason, right? For some reason, why you were given up for adoption. And I know that's what I mean by there's pain in the midst of it all. And I obviously want to be careful with how I say that, but let's be real. There are painful situations out there that other people might be facing or not ready to face as they're looking for their biological family. And all I'm saying is we need to make sure that everyone has the right tools and the mindset to go, well, look, if you're going to do this, just know it's not like, hey, found your family and you're going to have a barbecue next Sunday. It might be, well, that was a mistake, and I was 16 and I couldn't take care of a baby on my own. And I've got another family, and I'm not necessarily wanting to have a whole new family or a whole new side of a family. So for the people that are, thank God for you, which is awesome that you had to kind of welcome arms, right, from other family members that didn't even know you existed maybe. Some may have, some may not have, like you said, your brother, right? But the great thing I think about that is that you said, and this is what I meant when I talked 30 minutes ago, and I said that you said it right the first time. It's your journey. It's Betsy's journey. And your mindset is the thing that allows you to have that type of thing to go, hey, this is my journey. And whether this is good or bad, that's how it's going to swing. And I'm going to be okay with that, and I'm going to be fine. And so let's just remember, you guys, that mindset is super, super important. Okay, so Betsy, last thing that I want to do today, and we've been on the call for about 45 minutes. I know others are jumping in and jumping off. First of all, if anybody has any questions, Betsy and I have just been talking a bunch, but if there's anybody with a question, I'd love for you to feel free to answer or ask that question right now. So is there anyone else that's on the call that, and I'm going to make sure the lines are open here, 1 second. Is there anyone else that's on the call that would love to ask Betsy a question right now? I'm going to have all the lines unmuted so you can ask that question right now. Go for it. Okay, cool. So Betsy, in parting, what would you give to everyone if you had like here are the top 3 things that you can take away from wanting to start this journey, knowing that some parts may be painful. I mean, let's just be real. Some of these parts may not fare the way that you thought in your mind or put in your head, finding these family members is going to be. But what would be the parting gift, if you will? And I'm looking for like 3 things, so that you could share that people need to hear that are going to embark on this journey. What do you think that would be?
Well, first and foremost, keep an open mind for sure. Keep an open mind. Be prepared for the outcome, and embrace. I think it's important to embrace your past, and and I think it's important to ask yourself, no matter what happens, what can I learn from this? And I think it's very important to keep open communication with your family, your existing family or friends, even if you don't have a lot of family left. Just let people know that you're doing this because you do need the support. So even if you don't have any family that you feel needs to know, I think just as long as you have a support system, because you're going to need some people to talk to. So open mind, support system, and what was the other thing I said, Elijah? Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure I caught it.
Oh, okay. So open mind, support system, and communication.
Gotcha.
With current family, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Here's what we're going to do, you guys. Today, and I got to just, again, apologize about this. We had some technology issues. I'll just say this again. I changed webinar hosting services, and I think that might have thrown some people for a loop. I see that I see people on the call now, so I know that there's people here, but I saw people jump on and jump right off when they couldn't hear me or hear Betsy at different points in time earlier on, and it took us a bit. We got started late as well. We didn't get started until about 10:20 California time. Anyway, and so I just apologize about that. I got on the phone with customer service this morning, and we'll make sure that's better for next time. But I tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this again, and I believe that more people need to hear this. Obviously, we're going to have the recorded version as well, but I know that there's tons of questions out there that are going to exist in the community that have just been, grown, Betsy, primarily on the page that you started, and now it's kind of grown beyond that, and people are starting their own journey pages and things like that. So I know you're an advocate for people to find, and if they want to, and do this same type of thing, and I know that you're just a great resource for people to help them do this as well. So here's what I want to do. Let's talk about some dates after the call. We'll talk about some dates and do this again. Obviously, the recorded version will be available for everyone that registered for this webinar, and then we'll just do it again and ask maybe in advance for some questions that people may have for you, because I know, because you've told me this, your Facebook inbox and wall and things have just been inundated with people who have just been like, how do I do this, and what do I do this, and can you help me, and and you're just one person with one Facebook. And so webinar obviously is a great place to do this, and I want to give as many people an opportunity as we can to help them as well. So last little nugget for some of you, Betsy knows this, but this is just an interesting little nugget. I, too, found my biological father on social media. I found my father on MySpace, as some of you who can remember MySpace. That was back in 2008. 7 actually, and so I remember just what that feels like, and I wasn't even really a Facebook user in 2007. I mean, I knew about it, but it was still kind of in the college land and all that kind of stuff. But I have a kinship with you, Betsy, because I too have also found a biological birth parent on social media. So I know that there's power out there, and we're just in a new world today. And so people that want to do something in their lives to change the world, to reevaluate pain and have a paradigm shift with that, do something different with it, to give back, seeing and viewing pain as an investment, or finding a birth parent, a relative of sorts, man. I just think that in the future, right, and where we are now currently in the present and where we're heading in the future, there's going to be so much more open source technologies out there to find whatever, as we know, in this world. So congratulations to you, Betsy, for finding your birth mom and having the mindset and the vulnerability to put yourself out there. You have a community of thousands of people who respect you for doing that, and now you are the leader. You're going to be the person leading the way, helping them, as we are doing on this call today, and many other calls we're going to do to help people to do the same thing. So thank you so much for being on this call, Betsy, and thank you, everyone, all the listeners that are here live and those that are going to be listening to the recorded version. Thank you guys, for just supporting supporting Betsy, supporting Pain's Promise, and seeing pain in a different way that can, catapult your life. And I think that all of us on this call are here for a reason. We're all winners. And so I just want to say thank you guys. I'm going to close out the call here now. I'll ask one last time, are there any other questions that anybody wants to ask before I close the call down? Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being a part of the webinar. Bye now.